समस्तंकु नमस्कार। आज पर्याय को मुझे उपस्थित समस्तंकु कनक न्यूज तरफ स्वागत करुच्ची। It is an absolute pleasure to have you, sir, with us today. You have been a student of literature, you have been a journalist, you have spent decades in administration. You're a researcher with a deep interest in history. So I think we couldn't have had a better speaker than you today to shed light on our topic, that is understanding history to innovate the future. आमर गोटे जाति को गोटे देश को आगु को बढ़िबा पाई तार इतिहास को तार अतीत को बुझिबा जरूरी की. To be very honest, I really don't understand this topic too much, so I have a lot of disorganized thoughts in my head, and I'm hopeful that by the end of this discussion, you would probably, your ideas would probably, give us some food for thought. So what would be your initial thoughts about this topic?
Samasungu Namaskar. Ajiro morning to be with all of you. Ame bisre alachana kortulu today's program. Mu jadi Raji Lavalaku. What is the topic we would speak? I told Tane that I would stick to my own subject, like history and culture and relating to contemporary world. Then we fixed this particular topic. That means understanding history to innovate the future. Setire mu first prathama koiba ko chahuchi. Normally we take history very lightly. History रे कोटे जानकारी कोण लाभ अच्छी कोण सुविधा अच्छी. History is actually not only useful, it is essential, and also it is inescapable also. History to अपनो दौड़ी पारी बनाई. You cannot escape from the history. History is there. So the knowing history is very, very important, because that अपनो जानते भी it's not philosophical, it's a real. There is no present, there is no future. Only the past only repeat itself. You will see many times the repeating of the past. The imageries of the past apako puni tare asibo. So setipai mu bautli tike understanding history kete niyadi darkar achi, not for the academic purpose, for the innovating future. Mu gotti dito udaranta mu arambo koribi. First imagine the Odisha's modern history without recalling the 1895 ରୁ 1905 पर्यंत ହେଇଥିବା Sambadpur language agitation. Seita, if you don't keep that in mind, you cannot understand the Odisha's contemporary history at all. 1936 रे Odisha गोटे separate linguistic based गोटे राज्य हला. Then without recalling that 1895 Sambadpur agitation and 1905 Odia become a language, then without that you cannot understand. Then without that also you cannot proceed further. Anchoring point mu koivak chahuchi. Any day, whatever you call right now, Ruben was telling about the disaster management and the cyclone issue. You go to anything, you pick up any subject in the today, 2021. I would relate something in the past, so that understanding that past becomes an important for the innovating future. Sethibai mu bahut example mu debi ame discuss korla balaku mu niche da koibi.
सर आमे जत बेले ओडिसा रा इतिहास विषय कथा होचु, परंपरा कल्चर ऐतिह्य विषय कथा होचु. We have a rich past that cannot be argued. If we're talking about bravery, we have the Paika Vidroha, which is being considered as the first war for independence. Our maritime relations were known around the region that time. We built the Kanak temple. We have rich traditions when it comes to handlooms, rich in everything, but we are still poor.
Okay, that is the reason we need to understand the past. Suppose me gude purana idiga sura arambo koribi. Suppose you think about Odisha. Mo Odisha mo pai nuwa nuwe. 1984 mo tigasi paunchili. Almost now it's 37 years of relationship. I have read, understood whichever best possible way. I always think, Odisha, you go to any Odissi program, any dance program, any culture program. So, Dauli, Kalinga Jutto, Asoka Asitile, Sando Sako, Dharma Saka Kale, Buttam Jaranam Kachami, it I pro chalibo. But I always feel that when you talk about the Kalinga war, you go to recall Karavela. Within next 100 plus year, another 120 years, 150 years, another emperor came, and Orissa rose from that particular, the war, battlefield of Kalinga, it came again. That I keep that as an imagery. For me, I keep that as an imagery of the past. That means there is a disaster. From that disaster, Orissa's ability to come back. This I can cite example from the ancient history. I can cite an example from the medieval history. I can cite an example from the modern history. This is the imageries of the past move manararkichi. Kainki, I don't know, many important journalists are here. You go through the India Today or the newspaper, just search for Operation Poomalai. That means it's an Indian Air Force dropping food packets in Sri Lanka. Satavalaku Sri Lanka re ode problem thila. The government of India made an airdropping when Rajiv Gandhi was there. Airdropping was done. The president of Sri Lanka was very much annoyed. It came out in the front page of the India Today, I remember, it was a cover story. Then he told, apana kainki Jafnare Sri Lanka re food packet pokoichanti, apanango desare Kalahandi boligiri ude jaga achi, seti jaigiri food packet koribe. At that time, I was already in Orissa. Said a padla voloka amuk monako asila kemti gude anyo gude country ro president gude udar nela setra amaraji ro gude jaga ko nele. Imagine what will be the feeling of the heart. That means you look for the example of the poorest pocket, then Kalahandi comes. In 2021, can anyone tell that you throw a food packet in Orissa? We are the third largest rice producer in this country. We are a rice surplus state. We are supplying rice to the Food Corporation of India. And then, so this is you learn lesson. The society is, I'm not telling that X or Y individual, as a society, we learn certain imageries from the past and undo it and innovate. I am telling one example. I think Ruben Banerjee was very much part of that kind of time, where I know him from 1888. When I came here, 1884, 85, the starvation death was the important news item. Moro jana sangatila Asok Dalwai Buligri, Moro Sango, 84 batch, say would report dala Tang Berodre, Action Visanilla, Gunupur. That time, it was a very often, say, starvation death newspaper asigo. 201 ture, somebody went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court got an order pass korakala. Ke Japanese loco Odisha starvation marive Chief Secretary Jaikri that means court has to remain present. How a Chief Secretary will know that somewhere in a village somebody is not having a food? Then you have to go back to the Bengal famine. Whether it is a 1942 Bengal famine or the 1878, I think our 1876 or 1876, our Orissa's famine, Fakir Mohan Sanapati, Boyulakitile, Sabisere. So, say type bro, Idiga Satapan Dekibe, it is always not the question of not having the grain. It is the question of inability to distribute. This is where the two economists in this world, Indian economists, one is that Amartya Sen, another is Jagadish Bhagavati. I am a great fan of Amartya Sen. I understand, I follow the model of the Amartya Sen. It is about the distributive justice. It is about the equity. Ketoloko normally, prior middle class mentality, dekitibe upper middle class mentality, kangi magana kangi deuchandi. Eta kangi gotti tongare kangi chawal deuchandi. Magana chawal kangi deuchandi. Magana bali koibe. But the same thing is it's a great concession given to the corporate sector. Semane kichi koibani. That means concession given in the gas cylinder kichi koibani. Concession given into the corporate sector kichi koibani. Magana chawal dele koibe. That is the kind of mentality. People died of hunger when the grain was very much available in India, but it was not being distributed. So we learnt a lesson from that particular, Orissa has learnt a lesson from that. Right now, kanki starvation death asinai. Only one simple order. Mu Setavulaku SR Setili, Setavulaku Manivara Chief Minister also, we had a discussion, he told me also. We passed an order. Gutti Gare, Gutti Loko, without food is going. A Sarpanch is authorized to give free food. I think that that is a free food is available up to 15 days. And he has to go, he need not ask anybody who and the BDO is authorized. The BDO is authorized up to a particular month. See, Sarpanch 10 dino, BDOs 30 dino, sub-collector up to 45 days. Goti loko without food 45 days gote gare tibe. If the Sarpanch does not know, if the BDO does not know, if the sub-collector does not know, Chief Secretary will not come to know. So we gave this particular responsibility to Sarpanch. We wrote to every wall that apna kaiva ka nappaitibe Sarpanch ku pacharam. Tapare kichi asunai. The same grain, same Odisha, tapare kichi news asunai. So it is basically giving the responsibility to the people. I consider this is a learning lesson from the past and innovating future. Say a topic by eta matukudi udaharan mu koibaku chauntili.
This is a great example, and this is always a continuous process because we saw Nagada also in 2016 after all this.